Okay, so what is your now exactly? Like, what do you do? What are your projects?
So, I, at the most basic level, obviously, is still I'm practicing full time, seeing patients in the hospital and treating them. I also am the director for medical students. I teach them internal medicine. That's my primary specialty. And they come for their clinical rotations. I take them on rounds with me. We see patients, we discuss cases, we develop differential diagnosis, and prepare them for the USMLE. In addition to these two things, I'm also actively involved in sharing cases online. The biggest platform that I'm currently sharing cases on is LinkedIn, where I've been posting now for more than 6 months. And I share three posts every day, one clinical case, one poll, and one video post about different topics about medical education. And a lot of people really like it. My audience has grown by about 5,000 followers in the last 6 months, and my posts have generated more than 2 million impressions in the last 90 days. The reality is that medical education in many countries in the world still lags far behind many of the developed countries. So it's important for all of us to continue to provide the necessary medical education, even if it's in an informal setting. So you see, the problem is when we talk about medical education, we think that all the education that has to be provided in either a medical school or a medical college. That's not really the way it should be. Is everything, does everything that you've learned in your life, was that just by spending a few hours in school? No, right? Because you learned things when you went home. You learned things when you interacted with your parents. You learned things when you were going out with your friends. Life is a constant learning experience 20 a day. Every single moment that you are awake, you are experiencing something, you are learning something. What I want to do is to shatter this myth that medical education can only be provided in a medical school or medical college. We can have a lot of positive discussion on the internet about which treatment modalities are good and which treatment modalities are bad, or what diagnostic strategies are good. You see, the thing is that when you are discussing these things on the internet, you may be discussing it with somebody who has certain techniques available in the part of the world they live. And then there may be some people who are in another part of the world where some of the techniques are not available. So you can have a broad conversation and you can educate people based on their own settings. But this is just the platform that I'm laying down right now on clinical medicine. But I think what I want to do in the future is to sort of develop more awareness and spread knowledge about healthy practices. One of the most common things that I want to highlight is vaccination and preventive care. So vaccination has become such a controversial topic after the COVID pandemic. And, in the United States and over many countries in the world, there were groups of people who were fiercely opposed to COVID vaccination. And there were many waves of COVID where people unnecessarily died because they had not got vaccinated. If you remember the Delta wave that came, killed a lot of people, the Delta wave came after the vaccine had already been introduced. And a lot of people didn't get vaccinated and died from the Delta COVID virus. So the important thing is disinformation. There is a lot of disinformation out there, even in the medical field. And as a doctor, I believe that it is all of our responsibility to shatter the myth. We have to combat the disinformation to make sure the right information is provided to the people so they can make better decision for themselves as well as their kids. And vaccination is just one small aspect of it. Let's talk about preventative care. Vaccination is a big part of preventative care too. We provide measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough vaccines to all the kids. But other than vaccines, what about routine blood work, blood pressure checks, diabetes? Remember, if you prevent a disease, that's the most cost-effective strategy because then you don't even have to spend a single dime on treating it. And preventative medicine is lagging so far behind in the world. So these are the kind of things that I really am worried about, and I want to make a difference on a global scale. And obviously, building a platform, a digital platform on the internet is just the first step in the process.
Join disruptive doctors. Oh, oh, disruptive doctors. Impact